Hello, my name is Jagovind Mishra, and today I will be discussing the famous text in Immanuel Kant's What is Enlightenment? And I will be discussing a critical analysis regarding this. Before I start this presentation, I would like my professor to know that I'm very grateful and thankful for this opportunity to be able to present this. Thank you so much. And the reason I chose this text is because I also tend to think a lot about these philosophical ideas such as death, enlightenment, nirvana, etc., just to understand what this life we live is all about. And I've dug very deep into religion and other aspects, and the more I tend to fill this void of knowledge with knowledge, it becomes as if a black hole which never fills. Just like knowledge, nothing can. Just like knowledge can't fill this void of enlightenment. So I was very fortunate to be able to do this, and I will start now. Thank you so much. So the introduction to this essay is all about Kant's text, which is from 1784, and explores the nature of intellectual and moral progress in society. So Kant does a very brief deeping into the intellectual and moral ideas which are ethical, and he tends to dig deep into what is good and what is bad among society. And he also defines enlightenment as the emergence of man from his self-imposed immaturity, which is a very amazing quote. I have cited it at the end of the presentation, so please be aware of that. Thank you. And this text also discusses the importance of logic, freedom, courage in achieving intellectual autonomy. And it shows relevance of Kant's arguments today regarding freedom, rights, and personal autonomy. And we will discuss it much deeper as we move forward. So Kant's main argument was freedom and authority. Enlightenment, his point of view was that enlightenment involves individual courage and independence in thinking. For example, if someone constantly seeks others' ideas and implements them into their own life, it is very, very unlikely that they will reach enlightenment, because enlightenment is a journey where you are all alone, and it does take independence. Because if you ever meet someone who is in the path of enlightenment or does meditations and stuff, it needs you to almost be lonely at a point, so you can only hear yourself and understand yourself, which is what enlightenment technically is being able to figure out who you are. Once you figure out who you are, what your purpose is, what is all of this around you, then you become enlightenment, also known as nirvana. And Kant also argues for the need to challenge authority, especially government and religious institutions. Yes, that is true. Governments and religious institutions, depending on which is right or wrong, but that is a separate idea in itself. But government, for example, they use rules and laws to limit individuals and control individuals. And when you are enlightened, or whatever you may call enlightenment as, you most often see many of these men away from societal pressure, societal norms, etc. They're always outside of the grid, where they meditate, think of themselves. And I'm also sure Kant was also a individual such as that. And he also talks about true enlightenment, which requires freedom to publicly reason with critique, even within established structures. And he also then shows the differentiating between public and private reasoning, which is society-wide, versus personal reasoning. The role of the individual in enlightenment. So, in Kant's idea, enlightenment is both a collective effort and a personal responsibility. And as I critically analyze this in my text, I try to understand it as much as possible. And I think what Kant was trying to get at is that the only person that can truly save you is you. The only person who can truly help you is you. There's nobody around. You were born alone, you will die alone. We think we have people around us, but that's not true. Everyone here is simply alone. You are 24 hours alone in your life. So it is a personal responsibility for you to reach enlightenment. And I also believe enlightenment is the rule of the game, or no, sorry. I believe enlightenment is the destination of the game. It is what a soul needs to reach in order to escape this game, or matrix as you may think of it as. Individuals must break free from immaturity and learn to speak independently. I highly agree with Immanuel Kant here, and that's why I wrote it down, because he is very true about the fact that if you want to be enlightened, you cannot copy or you cannot be influenced by others' ideas, and you must only implement ideas which you have asked yourself and your own soul and have answers to, and you must be able to speak independently without fear, without what others might think, etc., etc. And he also talks about how progress requires courage to face fears and oppose traditional authorities. That is very much self-explanatory. As we move on, criticism of Kant's philosophy of language. So Kant views language as a tool for expressing pre-existing mental content. In Gilmanov, 2013, criticizes this approach, arguing that language should be more dynamic. And he also thinks that language is seen as very passive in Kant's model, rather than actively shaping knowledge and understanding. Critical analysis of Kant's views on freedom and progress. So Kant's optimism about progress is questioned by contemporary scholars. He points out the systematic obstacles and how they prevent certain groups from achieving enlightenment. And that is very true. Societal ideas, what is cool, what is acceptable, and what is not acceptable are all social thoughts. They're not independent. And as you see, whenever a new iPhone comes out, or a new product comes out, or a new word becomes popular, everybody starts to follow it. And this is exactly what Kant refuses you to do. He wants for you to achieve personal enlightenment, you have to let go of and prevent ideas being destined into your brain through certain groups. And he also issues in that digital age, such as misinformation, complicate the idea of intellectual freedom. That is very much also true. I can support this and reason this as well, because a lot of information I learned from social media, which I believe was true at that time, turned out to be my ignorance. And then I understood that anyone at any point can write anything out of anywhere for anything, and if certain amount of people push that agenda, then that becomes the new truth, even though it is not. So Kant's theory of enlightenment was a very, very interesting text I got to read, and I'm very grateful to be able to analyze his ideas. He is very true about enlightenment and what he thinks. From the text, I understood that enlightenment is being away, being independent, and being unclassified from the society. It is being yourself. It is figuring out who you are. It is figuring out what you like, what you do not like, what type of life you want to live, what type of life you do not want to live. It allows and forces you to make thinking possible for your own life, and for you to understand what you want, where you are, who you are. Because a lot of people in this world follow like sheep, and it leads them all into a very regretful life for eternity. And regret is one of the worst things that one can experience, because it is unchangeable, and it only leads you to think about guilt, and it makes you envy of your potential, which is why Kant's ideas stick out to me, and I will try to implement them as much as possible. Thank you so much. My citations are right here. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Take care.